Picture this. It's 50,000 years ago. You're alive. And there are no judges, no cops, no lawyers charging you $400 an hour to talk in circles. No courtrooms, no prisons, no little orange parking tickets stuck to your windshield. Nothing. Zero formal justice anywhere on Earth. Now imagine someone in your group starts stealing your food, or beating up someone smaller, or hogging every meal while everyone else just sits there, fuming, saying nothing. Or worse, they start acting unhinged, violent, unpredictable. The kind of person who walks into camp and the whole vibe just drops. So what do? Seriously, think about it. Because this wasn't some thought experiment. This was a real problem. Every day, for hundreds of thousands of years. And here's the wild part. They figured it out, without laws, without kings, without a single word written down. And the way they did it? It might have been smarter, fairer, and more equal than anything we've built since. Here's what nobody ever told you in school. The urge to punish wrongdoers is way older than civilization. Justice didn't show up with cities. It didn't arrive carved on stone. It was already running, full speed, in tiny groups of humans roaming the wilderness, long before anyone built a single wall. Let me walk you through how it actually worked, and then what we lost when we upgraded to written law. First, you've got to understand the world these people lived in, because the world makes the system. Hunter-gatherer bands were small, like really small. 20 people, maybe 50. Everyone knew everyone. There was no other side of town. There was no town. Your entire universe was these few dozen humans walking through the woods with you, which means you couldn't hide. You couldn't be a saint to one crowd and a jerk to another. There was only one crowd, and they saw everything. And your reputation? It wasn't just important. It was life or death. No exaggeration. Your status in the group decided whether you ate, whether anyone helped you when you got sick, whether you had allies in a fight, whether you found a partner. Everything. Mess up your reputation badly enough, you didn't just lose friends. You lost the only safety net you had. That's the foundation. Not laws, not rules. Just one simple fact. We need each other to survive, and everybody knows it. Now, there's this anthropologist, Christopher Boehm, spent his whole career studying these groups, published a book through Harvard called Hierarchy in the Forest, looked at 48 different societies across every continent. And his big finding kinda blew people's minds. These groups weren't chaotic. They weren't lawless. They were intensely organized, just not the way we think of organized. No bosses, no chiefs running the show, just the group working together, keeping each other in line. Boehm called it the reverse dominance hierarchy. Here's why that name matters. In most animal groups, chimps, gorillas, baboons, the big, strong guy runs things. He eats first. He bullies everyone else. Power flows down. Humans flipped that completely. In these bands, the group dominated the individual. If someone started getting too big for their britches, hoarding food, bossing people around, acting like they were better than everyone else, the whole group would push back, together, quietly at first, then louder, until that person got the message or got removed. And here's how they did it. 4 stages. Same pattern across the entire planet. Stage 1? Gossip. I know, sounds petty. It's not. Don't laugh this off. In a band of 30 people, gossip is power. It's the early warning system, the community newsletter, the group chat that never stops. When someone started acting up, people didn't confront them. Not yet. They talked about them to each other. And slowly, quietly, the whole group started building a shared opinion. Yeah, he's been weird lately. Yeah, she took way more than her share again. By the time anyone said anything to the troublemaker's face, it wasn't one person's complaint. It was everyone's verdict, already decided. And here's the thing. The troublemaker felt it. You can't hide from 30 people. You notice when conversations stop as you walk up. You notice when the laughs feel forced. Most of the time, that was enough. People shaped up right there. No confrontation needed. That's deterrence. Without a single law on the books. But if gossip didn't fix it, stage 2, public ridicule. Now we're talking open mockery in front of everybody, calling the person out, making jokes at their expense, roasting them hard. And in a tiny community, that's brutal. That's not just an awkward moment you forget about. That's your social status getting publicly downgraded in real time. Everyone watching, everyone agreeing. You see this everywhere. The Inuit did it. African groups did it. Aboriginal Australians did it. Same exact play, different continent. And here's a really cool detail. In a lot of these cultures, if you were a great hunter and you came back bragging about it, you got mocked, not celebrated. The food got shared, sure, but the credit? Nope. Nobody was allowed to puff themselves up because they understood something we kind of forgot. The second one person starts collecting too much status, the whole system breaks. Still not getting the message? Stage 3, the cold shoulder from everybody. Now, in our world, getting iced out is rough, but you survive. You move. You find new people. Whatever. Back then, being kicked out of your group was a death sentence. Slowly, maybe, but it was coming. You can't hunt big game alone. You can't sleep safe alone. Something's going to eat you. You can't carry a baby and gather food and fight off infection and do everything else by yourself. You needed the group to live, period. So when ostracism kicked in, sometimes subtle, sometimes total, it hit hard. And in mobile groups, they just pack up camp one morning and leave without you. You'd wake up alone. Done. A lot of people corrected their behavior right there, begged their way back in, watched themselves carefully for the rest of their lives. Others didn't. And for them, there was one stage left. Stage 4, execution. I know, that sounds extreme, but Boehm documented this over and over across cultures that never met each other. Same pattern, every time. When somebody was just too dangerous, a serial bully, a predator, someone who'd ignored every warning the group threw at them, the community would reach a collective decision. Not a chief, not a leader, everyone. Adults talking it through, coming to consensus. And then a small group would carry it out for everyone, on behalf of everyone. That part matters a lot, because if one guy went out and killed a troublemaker on his own, he's a murderer. He's next. But when the whole community decides together, that's not personal. That's the group protecting itself. And here's what's wild. This wasn't random. This wasn't violent chaos. It had proportionality. Minor stuff got minor responses. Big stuff escalated. There was process, always a chance to change. There was consensus. Nobody acted alone. That's a justice system, a real one. Now, fast forward a few thousand years. Cities pop up, farming, kings. And here's where the story gets weird, because justice didn't get better, it got bigger. And in some ways, it got worse. Take the oldest written law code we've ever found, the Code of Ur-Nammu, Mesopotamia, about 4,000 years ago, carved on clay tablets. And honestly, pretty reasonable. Knock out someone's eye, you pay a fine. Knock out a tooth, pay a fine. The idea was, make the victim whole. Fix what you broke. Then comes Hammurabi, 1750 BC, Babylonian king. Big ego. Carves 282 laws into a giant black stone pillar, 7 feet tall, that's still sitting in the Louvre in Paris today. And Hammurabi flips the script. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Hurt someone? Get hurt back. Same way. But here's the kicker, the really dark part. Hammurabi's code wasn't equal. If a free man hurt another free man, equal punishment. If that same free man hurt a slave, just a fine. Same injury, different person. Totally different consequence. That was new. The hunter-gatherers, they spent thousands of years making sure that exact thing could never happen. Their whole system existed to stop any one person from being treated as more important than another. And then civilization showed up and wrote inequality straight into the law and called it justice. So here's what it all comes down to. And honestly, sit with this for a second. Those ancient humans, with their gossip and their mockery and their cold shoulders and their hard final calls, they weren't running some rough draft of justice. They were running the real thing, built from the ground up, with proportionality, with process, with genuine equality baked right in. Yeah, written law gave us scale. It gave us predictability. We needed it once we had millions of people instead of 50. That's real progress. But we also lost something big. Our ancestors didn't have courtrooms, or gavels, or fancy legal degrees. They had something better, a community that actually cared. Together about what happened. Together. Everything we built after that, the laws, the courts, the lawyers, the stone pillars in museums, all of it, it was just infrastructure, trying, and mostly failing, to recreate something we already had 50,000 years ago, around a fire, just figuring it out together.